Happy Sunday. It's my fun day. I was just out working in the yard with Steve, and we were getting a lot done, and I thought I'd come in and take a break. And when I was out working with Steve, I was thinking about how we always get along so well. And in some of my other posts, I've always said, oh, everything's great, and we get along all the time. But that's not totally true. That's a myth. If anybody says that, I know. In fact, we don't fight very much, but sometimes when we do, they can be real doozies. And part of the problem for me is that he doesn't want to engage. He just shuts down and goes to bed or something. In fact, I remember when we first moved up here, we had a dog then, Dakota, and she was sweet dog, a Sheltie. And one night, Steve and I were arguing about something, and he just said, I'm going to bed, and he wouldn't talk, and I was so mad, I was just fuming. I was pacing around the house, and all of a sudden, I think it was like midnight, I just decided I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven and buy cigarettes and smoke cigarettes. And that'll show him, because I used to be a smoker, and Steve never smoked, but I quit before we got married. But I've fallen off the wagon a few times, so I thought, boy, that'll get back at him. So I get in the car and I bring the dog, I bring Dakota, and we go and get the cigarettes. And I go to this area not too far from our house. It's a big soccer field. And of course, I didn't want anybody to see me, and so I get out of the car, and she's just wondering, what the heck are we doing? It's midnight, and it's dark, and nobody's around. So we walk out into the middle of the soccer field, and I light up this cigarette, and I'm walking around, and I'm getting kind of dizzy smoking it. And I'm just, yelling stuff out into the universe about what a jerk he is, and, oh God, what am I gonna do with this guy? He's just such a, jerk, and what am I supposed to do? And all of a sudden, the sprinklers came on and just went right in my face and put the cigarette out in my hand. And Dakota's barking her head off, and I see lights sort of flicking on in some of the houses in the distance. And I'm just running for the car. I'm soaking wet, and she's looking at me like, "What kind of an idiot are you?" And I get in the car, and I just had to laugh, because I thought, how ridiculous am I, So as I'm driving home, I thought, gee, I just spent $6 on these cigarettes, and I'm not gonna smoke them. So I remember driving by the post office, and I drove by the mailbox, and I just threw them in the mailbox, thinking, well, maybe one of the mailmen smokes. I don't wanna encourage it, but I didn't wanna waste them. So the next morning I told Steve what I did, and at first his face fell, and then I said, well, it was ridiculous. And I told him the end of the story, and he thought it was hilarious. So, but I was thinking about another time that we got into an argument, and it was winter time, and we were going downtown to a nice restaurant called Moxie. It's not there anymore. But we were meeting friends from Montana with another group of friends that live here in Spokane, and we were very excited to see them. And there would be about 8 of us, I think, for dinner. So we had parked downtown, and we had to walk a ways to get to the restaurant, because we knew there wouldn't be parking nearby. And so as we were walking down the street, I had to use the restroom. And so we were walking by the most beautiful hotel in our town. It's called the Davenport. And I said, well, let's just pop in there, and I'll use the restroom. So I went in there and used the restroom, and I came out, and I was washing my hands, and 2 girls came out of the stalls, and I saw them kind of on either side of me kind of exchange glances and just laugh to each other. And I said, hi, how are you? And they just didn't respond. Kind of young girls. I thought, oh, they're kind of rude. But anyway, so I put my coat on, I go out, I meet Steve, we go to the restaurant, we get to say hi to everybody, we sit down, and we're having a lovely evening, and it's kind of a long table, so not everybody's sitting close to each other, but I was chatting with our friends from Montana, and they had mentioned a restaurant that another couple at the table had taken them to, and mentioned this dessert that they ordered at this restaurant. And I just proceeded to say, Yeah, we've been there, and I think that dessert is kind of a ripoff, you know? I mean, they say it's this chocolate dessert, and all you get is like chocolate candy bars from different countries just on the plate. You know, you could just go out and buy that. And Steve's kind of nudging me and looking at me, and I'm continuing to tell this story, and he's just finally, you know, in order to get me to be quiet, he starts kicking me under the table. And I just turned to him and I said, "Stop kicking me." And then I continued with my story. And he didn't say much the rest of the night. And we said our goodbyes to everybody and, you know, put our coats on and go get in the car. And he starts the car up, and then he just turns to me and he says, "Don't ever humiliate me like that again in public." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "When you said, 'Stop kicking me,' he goes, 'that was so humiliating.'" And I said, "Well, you were humiliating me. You always kick me under the table. You're always trying to stifle me if I say something you don't like. And you give me that look, or you frown at me, or you know, give me the eyebrows. But then when you kick me, that's humiliating to me." And he goes, "That isn't humiliating. Nobody knows I'm doing it until you say it. So you're humiliating yourself." And I said, "Oh, that's BS." I said, "It's humiliating to my spirit, even if nobody sees it." And then he said, "I think you need to look up the definition of humiliation in the dictionary. You don't even understand what the definition of humiliation is." And then I'm really mad, you know. So he starts to pull out and drive. And then on the way home, he's kind of softening a little bit, and he turns on the radio, and it's Alabama Shakes, that song, "I Don't Want to Fight No More." And he's kind of singing it and trying to, you know, pat my leg and give me a like, "Okay, let's," and I'm not having it. I'm like, "I'm still really mad at you." So we go home and we're getting ready for bed, and we go upstairs and we're still not talking to each other. And he goes in the bathroom, and I'm, you know, starting to disrobe, and he walks out of the bathroom and he just busts out laughing. And I said, "What's so funny?" I turn around and look at him, and he goes, "You are." And then he goes, turn around, he goes, that's the definition of humiliation." And I look in the mirror, and I have a toilet seat cover hanging out of the back of my pants. And this isn't the first time that's happened to me. My sister always said, check for an ass gasket, you know, like it stuck to my butt. So anyway, I just couldn't stop laughing either. I realized how ridiculous I must have looked, and that's what those two little brats in the restroom saw it, and they didn't tell me. And I thought, oh, when I see them again, I'm gonna let them have it. But I realized, you know, a lot of times our fights are just our egos, you know. I mean, we want everybody to agree with us about everything, and you know, I just I just have to laugh at myself so much. I do a lot of stupid things. I'm accident prone, I'm very clumsy, and I do talk too much, and I put my foot in my mouth all the time. But we make up and we laugh, and I think we have to laugh at each other and mostly ourselves, you know. When I fall down, I always told my kids, don't laugh until you know if I'm okay. So you have to check first, and then we can laugh if I'm not hurt. But anyway, I just was trying to think of something funny today, and you know, the Sunday funnies are what we all look forward to. So I hope everybody's having a good day today and getting a little respite from your troubles, and just know that I'm thinking of all of you and hoping you feel all the love that I have for you today. And keep smiling. You know, keep your spirits up. We need to get through this, and you know, enough love is going to resolve it all, and laughter too. So, bye.